this is something that, in fact, me and my lovely Christy were talking about just the other day, because she and I don't see this the same way. And it's about money. And I don't ever want to be someone who counts someone else's money. I'm just a sports radio host. I'm not like, I don't work in the world of professional sports athlete contracts. I don't make bajillions of dollars. So I think that the average sports fan out there sometimes looks at this, and I'll just use this as an example. Let's talk about Klay Thompson for 2 minutes. So here's someone who has made $250 million just on the court in his career. So some might say, with this next contract, dude, who cares? I don't care if you make 30 or 20. I don't care. If I were you, I wouldn't care. I would only be saying to myself or asking myself, where do I want to play? Period. Now, I also know, just because I've been doing this long enough and we live in the Bay Area, and I do know some people who have some dough, that people that have that kind of dough don't look at it that way. $1 million is always $1 million, and that's a lot of money. All right, now let's take that to negotiation and Brandon Aiyuk. Here's a quote from DeVonta Smith of the Philadelphia Eagles, a very good receiver. Brandon, I'd say no. He's not Brandon, but he's right there in the next tier, and he has been a part of this wide receiver get paid party, and he got about 25 per year. All right, it's 25 a year, 30 a year. Some of our brains go, what the hell's the difference? I know there's ego involved and there's a lot of money. Here's the quote. You can't be counting the pockets of others. I'm where I want to be. This is where I wanted to be. At the end of the day, it was still life-changing for me. Those guys who have got their deals, they deserve it. Great players and great people. At the end of the day, we're all blessed. End quote.
I love that.
I do too. I want to apply it to Brandon Aiyuk and have a conversation here. Why do you love it?
Because I think as athletes, you get caught up into, I'm better than that guy, should be paid more than that guy, when in reality, based on making decisions on money, every one I've ever made has been the wrong decision.
Interesting.
If you make a decision based solely on money, it's always been the wrong decision for me. So if you could tell these kids one thing, it's just, if you're happy where you're at, take fair.
Yes.
But the grass isn't always greener, because you'll be where you're at next and be like, well, when I was a Niner, we did it this, and this way. And it's like, it's ingrained in Brandon Aiyuk right now. He's got a chance to go to the Super Bowl every single year from now until the end of his contract. He could go somewhere, get paid more, but based on what you said, is 28 a lot more than 26 a year? Oh, yeah. But that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, $2 million. By the way,
my view on money is not the normal view on money.
Interesting.
I don't care about it. As long as I got enough to pay bills and go on a vacation every once in a while and eat at a decent restaurant every once in a while, I'm good. I don't need a helicopter. I don't need a fancy car. I don't need a yacht. I don't need any of that stuff.
Did you ever get into this during your big league career?
No.
You didn't?
Well, the one decision I did make was the Dodgers paid me more than everybody, and I went there and I was miserable.
And you hated it.
A lot more than the Tigers had on the table and the Brewers had on the table. But I was like, L.A., it's close to home. It's National League, double switch. They use bench guys. They're paying me way more than the Tigers. Phil Garner was a manager of the Tigers. He wanted me. And looking back on it, I grew up a Tigers fan, and it's the one regret I have. I wish I would have played for the Tigers, or the old English G. But like, if you could tell these guys something, if you're happy where you're at and you got a chance to win where you're at and you love your teammates, that's the thing, man. If you love your teammates and you love going to the room every day and you love being in the building every day and those are your guys, there's no price for that, man. Because when it's all said and done, if you got 100 and this in the bank account or 98 in the bank account, whatever it is, does it matter? Because what we have at the end of the day, nobody asks you your stats. Nobody says, well, how many catches did you have in 19? No, they just, what kind of guy was he? What kind of teammate was he? And did he win? So if Brandon Aiyuk is happy with the 49ers and he's happy with his teammates and he generally loves the guys in the room, There's no substitute for that, man. Just take what you think is fair, and who cares if everybody else gets paid. Keep your blinders on. Go win a Super Bowl. You win a Super Bowl, maybe you can restructure it. Who knows? But you're in a place in a team that wants to win. That to me, and the friendships that you made there, you go to another room, it could be cancerous. It could be a bunch of guys that don't hang out, that don't like each other, that don't care about winning, that rather have the best table at the best club every night, and we'll see what happens on Sunday, and we go out Saturday nights before the game. You don't know. You know what you got here, and the grass isn't always greener.
So here, there's a few things to hit on. I think that's all really interesting. First of all, we say if he's happy here. I guess technically we don't know that. We assume that he's had success here. I don't know Brandon Aiyuk. Maybe there are things about being a 49er he doesn't like. So I want to at least acknowledge that.
Right.
Secondly, I do want to say, I hope this conversation doesn't sound like, at least from my standpoint, I'm asking Brandon Aiyuk to take less money than he's worth. Not doing that, would never do that to anyone, and hold nothing against Brandon at all if he wants to grind the 49ers for every dollar that he can get.
Right.
I literally hold absolutely nothing against him. I also know, and this is what we didn't sort of address so far, that when you're a professional athlete, quote unquote, taking less than you're worth has ramifications beyond you, because there's pressure from a players' union. There are agents who have multiple players. Once you take a deal, now you're a comp for the next guy.
I don't care.
So I know you don't, but there is, I would imagine, there is that pressure out there.
There is.
Okay, so those are three things I want to say. Now here's the but. But I'm so glad to hear you say that and DeVonta Smith to say that, because this is something that always bounces in my head, which is I don't know when we get to this point in our life, and maybe it's because you and I are both sort of back nine-ish, but like, I don't know how long it takes each human being to get to the point where they go, it's about happy. That's all it's about. It's not about every dollar. And so if Brandon Aiyuk loves being a 49er, and if we get to a point where this is like affecting his mental health and his Niner career is on the line and it affects this season and it's all because the Niners are offering 27 and he wants 28, I'm like, what are we doing here? And by the way, this does go to the Niners as well. This isn't just on the player. Like, it does go to the team as well. Like, sometimes I know, Parag Marate is a hardcore negotiator. And sometimes you're like, dude, like, you're the Niners. What's another mill here or there? I just sometimes don't get it when sports negotiations get this hot over what feels like something that doesn't really amount to anything for either side. The Niners ain't going to miss it. You ain't going to feel it. Dude, if you're making 28 a year and you're unhappy because you didn't get 29, DeVonta Smith to you. I don't know what to tell you.
But this is where you let the ego get in the way.
Thank you. And so, again, I'm not telling him to take less. I'm just giving a suggestion to all human beings, which is find the happy, and if that equals sometimes a couple bucks less or whatever, what the hell is really the difference in the long term? Even if he got hurt in game one, it's like, but didn't you sign a deal?
As long as you're not getting absolutely screwed. Like you're getting what most are getting.
Don't take 20.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because then you're going to be disgruntled. And you're going to feel like you got jobbed. But if it's close and the years are there and the guaranteed, I think it's in football for me, it would be the guaranteed money.
For sure.
I don't the annual. Yeah, I could get hurt and I don't get it.
Right.
I want it all up front. I want it guaranteed. So if I blow out in camp and I'm running a post, when I stick my leg in the ground, I want to be paid.
There's one thing I'm literally worried about with Brandon, and I'll share that next. And then Bob Melvin joined us earlier. We'll have that for you in less than 15 minutes. We're presented by Fremont Bank, celebrating